we must stay alive.
So, why don't you and I have a day out? If we set off now, we can have the whole day together. I've thought about it. You need a break from this place, and nobody will be doing much today anyway. And I know we'll enjoy ourselves. So what do you say?
I think I like the idea of it.
So that's a yes?
But where would we go?
I know just the place.
Welcome to episode 34 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining me on the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
And Maggie.
Hey.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So episode 34, the screenplay was done by Joe Boyle. It was directed by John Reed, and the episode synopsis will be read out by Liz.
Lex and Zandra celebrate their honeymoon away from the others, while Amber and Sasha spend their own time away. Ryan and Bray have taken to sulking. Elsewhere, Celine makes a deal with Roanne that could go terribly awry.
So after all the celebrations of the wedding, this episode has a much more despondent feel as the tribe's usual routine is disrupted and everyone seems a bit lost. Panel, how do you feel watching this episode?
I don't know. For me, it just shows how very quickly things can fall apart for certain characters, I guess. Like with the younger ones especially, their routine was absolutely disrupted and now they are lost, you know? Especially Chloe. I felt for that little girl.
Yeah, poor Chloe. The tone struck me on two different levels. Obviously the whole point is just how necessary Amber is to her group. Mm-hmm. And this is what happens when she's away for even a few hours. And I know this feeling. You know, I grew up in a matriarchy. Mom usually was the head of the household, and so, for example, when I was a kid, my grandmother sometimes would go visit her sister for a couple of weeks, and it'd just be me and my youngest uncle stuck with my grandfather, and you could feel she wasn't in the house. The light was different. The smells were different. And us kids would just be staring at him despondently, like, what happens now? And even he's like, I don't know what to do with you kids. It was just this lost feeling when she wasn't there. And it was only for 2 weeks, but everyone was miserable. Her light, her essence. It's not like we were starving or going without anything. It's not like my grandfather couldn't take care of us. It's just she brought something in the house he didn't have. And we're all just staring at each other like, what do we do now? And by the time I was a teenager, I noticed my mother had that same energy. And I was so used to her being in the house. And one day I came downstairs and the kitchen felt wrong. Not that my mom lived in the kitchen or anything, but it just felt wrong. No one had opened the shutters. No one had lit any incense. No one had opened a window to air the house out. I was just like, what's going on? And it turned out my mother had left. She had a day trip. And it was just so weird. And I just remember that was the first time it hit me. Like, without my mother here, it doesn't feel like home. What's going on? It's so messed up. I don't like this feeling. It's horrible. It makes you appreciate what people bring to your household and the energy and the life and how they make it a home, and
yeah,
when they're gone, you're just like, everything feels wrong.
and I think with the kids in this situation, they're so they know how very quickly people can just disappear out of their lives.
Yeah. And that's terrifying.
So and waking up and having these people not be there, I get it.
And on the other level, it's a reminder of, remember how I pointed out that Sasha is very effervescent and beautiful, but he's not a sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sasha shows up and we basically go on holiday with him. And he's telling us, don't worry about the food thief. Don't worry about these problems. None of them matter, right? And as soon as Sasha leaves the mall, all of that energy goes with him. And all of those problems are still waiting. They haven't gone.
And it absolutely shows that in this episode, I think, especially right at the end there.
Just because they put a lock on the food store has not dealt with their food thief, the person in their mall who's having trouble with that. It hasn't changed the dynamics of the characters. These problems haven't gone away, despite Sasha's bubbly, like, hey, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's still sitting there waiting to be dealt with. And he's not there anymore. And the mall feels already like a little bit of a darker, more chaotic place.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting. Like, just, the whirlwind has left and we have to pick up the pieces. He's not here anymore. We have to get back to our regular lives. And
it definitely plays into that, addiction conversation that we had prior about him being like that,
Yep.
And then now he's gone, and what are they left with, Yep.
Like, that was fun. He's the party they had, and now there's the aftermath of the party, and it's a disaster, and it needs to be cleaned up. And
literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
Yeah. For people who care so much about not getting rats into the mall, I'm surprised at how they left it.
Good Lord, what kind of party? Jeez,
I saw that broken plate, and I'm like, what did they do? What did I miss?
They're just like, what is happening at this party? Jeez, that place was trashed. I could not get over it.
They went at it like they were demon dogs. It's cool.
Pretty much.
And I'm still surprised that nobody whined about the fact that there was a pig with his complete head still attached on the dinner table.
Tell me why Celine wasn't eating on that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Too macabre even for Ray. Yeah, the imagery of this adolescent girl just gnawing on her pig's head.
Oh.
Maybe that's true.
Someone put the kibosh on that in the writer's room. Like, no, Ray, we can't have her doing that.
Too bad. It would have fit perfectly, I think, with the way that she's been behaving.
I can totally see her gnawing on the pig.
She's been animalistic lately in everything that she's been doing. So,
the censors are like, no.
Can't do it. You can show the dead pig, but you can't be eating it.
We'll get to something a bit later, but like, did it shock you how quickly the mall just falls apart without Amber?
No, not at all.
It didn't surprise me.
That's quite scary, no?
It was, and that's that's what I kind of was getting at before. How quickly things can just fall into chaos when one person just disappears, like, but had it been anybody other than Amber, I don't think it would have been, because she would have made everybody get it together and keep going, She's the glue.
I'm kind of surprised that, Trudy wasn't the only responsible adult still around. We don't see Tyson anywhere.
Not at first.
Again, Tyson never showed any interest in that kind of care.
I believe that Tyson likes the chaos.
I was wondering about that. I'm not really sure what's going through her head. Like, that look she gives to the chaos around her.
Yep.
They're going to ask me what I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know where to begin. I don't know what is going through that girl's head.
That was such an interesting look, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think it kind of sets the tone for later on in the show, as far as her character goes.
It's very creepy.
If you think about it, Yeah.
Okay, mentioning someone else, Dal.
Dal, poor guy.
Again, Dal has never taken that role. He's never stepped up to the plate of leadership. He makes small-scale decisions. And so I'm not surprised that he didn't jump up and say, okay.
I can see him helping out by doing little things,
And I think like his helping out was sitting there with Jack.
Yeah, honestly, everything these kids are doing seems very in character from what
it does. It absolutely does. Because Amber is the one that comes in and she's like, all right, we come together. This is what everyone's doing.
Yep. And if she's not there to tell them, they just are like, whatever.
Yep. It's like being at work and the boss being gone.
Yeah. If she had hit the pan, say, okay, guys, time to clean up from the party, they would have gotten together and they would have cleaned up with minimum problem. But she's not there to tell them to do it. They're just like,
like to see Trudy try to tell them all to clean up.
Poor Trudy's got her hands full. Jeez.
I know.
Haven't slept in days.
Dude, I was like instant murder. Lex would be gone. Disappeared.
That body language of her with Brady. It's like, oh my word. Anyone who's had to do this knows that. Like, it's so recognizable. She doesn't have to say anything. We're like, oh, I feel you. That sucks.
And I'm like, the baby's probably teething, which makes it, I'm like, oh, girl, I got you.
That juggling of the baby, that desperate juggle that you get. You're just like, I'm shaking you, man. I'm trying not to shake you. Okay, shake you.
Yes.
I'm not shaking you. I'm not shaking you at all.
We're just rocking.
We're just rocking very aggressively.
Oh, Trudy. She tried, I think, with everyone this episode, too,
Oh my gosh, there's no one she could count on.
Absolutely no one. God,
guys, I have a baby. Could you help me out here? Just a little bit.
They don't care because they don't get it, They're all too wrapped up in their own things. And I think that, they're teenagers. They're gonna be. But why does it fall on Trudy? Because she's the mother?
That moment when Sasha greets her in the morning and that just, you can hear the strain in her voice, like, if there's nothing you can do to help me, I don't want to have a conversation.
Yeah, I don't need anything to do with you. You can just go.
Okay, thank you. And even he's like, yeah, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
At least he knows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, it was some party. This is great. Anyway, I haven't slept.
Classic Trudy look. If they could kill.
Mm-hmm.
I would have killed a lot of people if I was her. And then when he adore, it's totally Trudy.
Uh-huh.
And Bray's response to her, I just
man, it's like I was saying, I'm like, they're gonna tear Bray apart today. They're gonna tear him to shreds. Because he was so horrible this episode. So bad. Oh, Bray.
Yes, he was.
And like, I'm supposed to try to defend this, and I'm like, I can't.
Okay, let's stick with that. What do you think about Bray's behavior this episode?
I mean, I'm not surprised. It definitely is playing. They're continuing that broody, jealous storyline. But good grief, dude! You are not 13 years old. You are technically a grown man in this world. Act like it.
They have him pouting and spray painting. And then,
like he's like going full emo right now. Where is the, emo music? We need something. Come on, anything. Hair flip. Give me something.
I feel like they want you to feel bad for Bray, but I don't know if it's just that Dwayne looks too old to be behaving this way, or I hate his pouty face in general. I can't feel bad for him. I'm just exasperated and like impatient with him. Like, okay.
I agree. Like, I feel like though, like the first time around, I felt bad for him. You know what I mean? Like this time watching the show, I'm like, bro, you can't do this. You can't be acting like this,
Dwayne has just made a leap in just the last few weeks. Like, if you look at his face in the pilot episode and his face now, Dwayne has already made a bunch of physical changes in his development. You could say he still looked a bit like a boy in the pilot episode. You know what I mean? That 6 months has made a huge difference in Dwayne's face. He's made that leap from boy,
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, I definitely, when I was looking at his face, I'm like, oh, come on.
He just looks too old to be pouting this way.
He can do better than that, yeah.
Even though, granted, he's technically still the same age, it's not going to have the same effect on your brain. Like, you may not know what you're picking up, but you are picking up on the fact that he seems too old to be behaving this way.
Yeah.
Even if he is still the same age. That is a problem for Dwayne. He looks too much a man to be behaving like a teenager, even if he is a teenager. You know what I mean? It's not his fault. It's just he matured very quickly, and his jaw squares up all of a sudden. He lost all of his little bit of baby fat in his face. It's gone. 6 months.
And he's tensing his jaw like he does, and pursing his lips. Yes,
he looks like a grown man who's pouting.
He looks like a grown man who's angry and he's plotting revenge.
He's the oldest guy in the boy band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He looks a little too old to be in the boy band. Yeah,
he's the Chris of NSYNC.
Yes, thank you. Like, every boy band has that guy who's just a little too old to be in there. He looks a little too old to be in there, and and it's like, you look too old to be doing this. And even though, again, I get it, he is the age where this is perfectly acceptable, but I look at his face and I see a grown man pouting.
Do you feel the same way though? Say if it were like Ryan or Lex.
I again, those two still manage to hold on to some of that babiness that makes them look like teenagers. So I'm like, yeah, they look like they should be behaving this way. You know what I mean? Like I
guess Ryan still does look very young. Yeah.
It's not fair to Dwayne. That's why I pointed it out. Like it's an unfair judgment I'm making on him, but my eyes see a man who's too old to be acting this way.
Yeah. See, yeah, for me it's I'm seeing it differently. I get what you're saying, you know. I just look at it in a different way, I suppose.
I kept thinking back to something Trudy said the episode before about her having a lucky escape. Thank goodness I didn't marry Bray.
Huh.
And all I kept thinking was, yep, lucky escape, girl.
Oh.
The way he's behaving.
Maybe I just don't like the way Bray looks when he pouts in general.
Yeah, it's just not very flattering. It's not becoming at all for Bray.
So I get that I'm supposed to feel sorry for this guy who's lost out on the girl he's crazy about, but that's not what I feel. I'm just like, shut up. Like, I hate his lips when he pouts. It's aesthetically unpleasing when he pouts.
It is.
It's weird. And I love Dwayne and I love, Bray in general, but so I try not to. I'm not going to get on him too hard because I feel like I have I have a bias to the way he looks, and it's probably not fair.
I just can't feel bad for him, for Bray in this.
I know.
Because three in the world to get with Amber, if that's wanted, and then to sit there and pout and be whiny little.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I agree. And that's why I said, I think the first time watching the show, I felt for him because I was like, oh, he lost his chance with her, so sad. But now that I'm watching it, I'm like, bro, you really could have done so much more to make this happen. You just acted like she should read your mind. He was acting like a woman. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
And now she's off gallivanting with someone else, and he's like, she should have known.
Maybe Dwayne's just not very good at playing this part.
I know. I don't think that he's good at playing the jealous,
whiny, self-indulgent. It just doesn't. Every time he does it, it just doesn't feel natural to him.
Okay. He broods a lot. We get that. Sometimes it's like, okay, I can understand that. He's a loner. He likes to be by himself. He sulks a lot, or it seems like he's off sulking. So when we see it and we actually see it in our faces, we're like, no, this isn't what he's doing all the time, is it? Like every time he runs away from the mall, is this what he's acting like? Oh, Bray.
I'm not bothered so it's like if you compare it to when he was, obviously upset about his brother. Yeah. It never bothered me. But again, I think it's just because he looked younger, so I accepted it that he should feel this way. He's a child.
I think losing your brother, you should feel that way at any age. And that makes sense.
At this point, it's the contrast of the fact that Dwayne suddenly looks like a man with his square jaw.
Oh.
He's basically got a cleft in that chin. And you mix that with a pouting like a teenager, even though technically he is a teenager. My brain is just like, I don't care, dude. I don't care about your problems. And you could have done something about this, and now you're acting like a jerk to other people because you didn't get... I don't care. I don't care, man.
And then he judges... He's so good at judging others who do the same.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely one of those people that he's not one of those what's good for the goose is good for the gander type of people.
Nope.
But I mean, I think that's in general most people. It's pretty crazy how few people, how many people walk through life with this idea that certain rules apply to them and certain rules apply for other people. And
oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we're really, though, getting a good look for Bray at this point. We're kind of seeing him for who he is, a closer look at how he can be behind the scenes, what he's not showing everyone else all the time, Yeah.
In general, this doesn't actually bother me all that much. It's tiresome, but I'm not like...
That's what it is. It's just annoying. It's like, come on. Can we move on, please.
It doesn't ruin his character for me.
Right.
Like, I don't mind that the hero of the story is a sulking brat when things don't go his way. Fine.
Yeah.
It just makes him more human. I'm fine with that.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, it absolutely takes away that Gary Stu persona of him being perfect.
I just don't care. That's all. It's like, I can't.
Yeah,
I have no investment in his misery.
You can't muster the F's to give. Yes.
Yeah, but if it was about something that was actually worth pouting about, sure, but he dropped the ball on this.
But he comes off as that, worldly person. He knows things, right? Or this is how he tries to be. You know what I mean?
Taken down by a crush.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Yes. He's taken down by a pretty blonde face.
Yeah. And it's quite a lovely face, so I don't blame him.
I know.
Amber's a cat. She's too good for him.
She is. I think she is too good for him.
He should be pouting. Like, man, you missed that boat. What were you thinking? Mm-hmm. And look what you lost her to, man. A vagrant. A wanderer.
Oh my God. With weird pigtails in his hair.
Man, he didn't even have to try. He just had to be nice. Man, what did you mess this up, Bray?
Pipe cleaners, Bray. Pipe cleaners in his hair. You pulled a coin out of someone's ear and couldn't get it done.
You had time, Bray. He came in here and macked it in a weekend. Come on, Bray.
A day. An hour sitting at that camp and she was done. Oh, gosh.
No wonder Bray is pouting.
No wonder. He's like, I tried so hard all this time.
I've been putting the time in. What did I do wrong? I'll tell you what you did wrong, Bray. You didn't make her laugh. I'm telling you.
Exactly. When he made her laugh, I was like, oh, she's done. That's it. She's done for.
Women aren't joking when they say we love a man that makes us laugh.
No, absolutely. The best thing in the world.
I mean, I'm scared to ask the next question. Like, how do you feel about Bray's inability to reassure Chloe?
I'm not surprised in the least, but he's never been really hands-on with the kids. So her coming to him felt kind of weird to me. But he tried a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's weird that she went to him, though. I mean, when she had issues with Bluebell and everything.
True.
He was the one who helped her hide her secret for a bit.
And he seemed to be one of the only available adults at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if your choices are Trudy with a screaming baby.
Exactly.
Lex and Zandra in their wedding bed screaming for people to make food for them.
Or a brooding Brady. Or a brooding Bray.
Brooding Bray or Jack who's screaming on the floor about being injured.
Yeah, I can. You're right. It does make sense that she would go to Bray. You're right. I take back what I said.
He didn't try very hard to calm.
No, not at all. No. When he put his arm around her, I'm like, oh gosh.
That's all you can do right now, Bray? Really?
But at least it was something, and that's why I said he tried a little bit, because he could have treated her the same way that he treated Trudy, and he didn't. I half expected him to. Like I did. I half expected him to lash out at her.
I honestly think Chloe caught him off guard by stating the truth. He would have come up with some platitude. I'm sure he could have, anything. But she's the one who calls him out that this feeling, it's not her imagination. We're all feeling the same way. He's got no answer for that. She just kind of hit him in the chest with the truth. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what they're all feeling. The sense that it's like someone died, something is missing, and he knows exactly what is missing, and so I think she just caught him off guard. He has nothing he can say to that. Like, yeah, you're right, kid. This sucks. I don't even have the energy to lie to you about it.
I think that's something Bray does. When he knows like something is true, he will admit, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Unless, of course, it's about Amber. But you're right. She got him. She absolutely got him with that one, because he could have come up with something. He normally does. Mm-hmm. He normally has something that something somewhere where he can pull out of the hat.
Also, it felt like a moment where it shows a genuine respect. Chloe may be a child, but she's not dumb, and Bray doesn't patronize her by treating her like she's an idiot and that what she's feeling isn't real. Just the fact that he has nothing to say validates exactly what she's feeling. And that can be very important when you're a child connecting to an adult. And so I think it has more meaning that he doesn't try to just come up with something to make this all better. Yeah. That he validates, you're right, kid. This is exactly how it feels. This sucks. I don't know what to tell you about that,
Yeah, I think they have like not necessarily a big connection, but a type of connection. Like he trusted her enough with the Zoot thing.
Yeah.
Poor Chloe. I just felt for her so much this episode. I really did. Well, Bray's not a father, that's for sure.
But I remember my uncle and I were like 6 years apart, and so he grew up more like my big brother. And I can tell you that having that honest connection with them was far more important to me than any adult trying to tell me everything was going to be okay.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about my uncles as well. We were raised by the same people, same household. I get it. Yep.
So just sitting with them and being able to be like, does this suck? And they basically tell you, yeah, kid, it does.
Yep, absolutely.
That feels better than them lying to you and saying, oh, no, it's fine.
And then you're having a little bit of hope, like, oh, that's okay. And then it all come crushing down. I think Bray did okay. I think Bray may not have given her much comfort, but I think he did okay in the situation that was given to him.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a problem with how he handled Chloe.
Yeah.
It may not have been exactly what Chloe wanted to hear, but Chloe's not that kind of kid anyway.
She's not like Patsy. She doesn't need to hear that things are going to be butterflies and rainbows.
Right. She'd rather have you just be straight with her because she can see it with her own eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but telling her she's being paranoid.
I don't think he meant it in a way that was like negative, just that she's worried too much.
She's worried too much. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Like you're being paranoid. It's okay.
He's probably thinking that she's looking at this like, what if everything goes bad again? He's like, oh, calm down, slow your roll. Yep. It's just one day where everything's out of whack, and it's just because nobody's doing what we usually do. That's all. Just calm down. I don't think he means you're paranoid like you're crazy. Just you're a little over anxious because of past trauma.
And I think that was him trying to calm her down.
Yes, exactly.
Trying to comfort her. That's all he could give her. You know what I mean? Because he was dealing with the things himself.
This feels awful, but just relax. It's only one day, and it's because nobody's doing what we usually do. Our schedule's been fucked. It's okay.
And maybe that was just as comforting to him.
Yes.
As it was to her.
Things will get back to normal. Amber will return.
Yes.
Do you think of your family often?
All the time.
Me too. I wonder what they'd be doing, what I'd be doing, and what they'd think of me if they could see me now.
I think they'd be very proud.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. How could they not be? A daughter who's so beautiful, intelligent, caring.
Sasha, you'll have me blushing in a minute.
Okay, let's step away from the mall for a moment. So Sasha convinces Amber to take the day off, and they go to the beach. And while they talk about their families, and Amber wonders what hers would think of her. Panel, what do you think about that scene and what it tells us about the burden of responsibility that Amber has placed on herself?
That girl is so hard on herself. Like insanely hard on herself because
she doesn't give herself a break at all.
At all. I mean, when he says, I'm sure they'd be proud of you, she's like, no. And I'm like, really? You don't think
they would be so proud?
Amber, what do you think you're messing up on that your parents would criticize you? You know what I mean? Like, given the situation, I like, she is so hard on herself. She has some high expectations. And
yes.
I think we can all agree that she's handled this probably better than anybody we've met. So,
heck yeah, better than I could at 14.
Or maybe she's just not good at taking compliments. That could be a thing too.
That could be, absolutely could be a thing, which would make sense because she's young. I wasn't good at taking compliments. I'm still not good at taking compliments.
Not to mention, we're trained not to take compliments, especially as females in our society.
And the cute boy is telling her nice things, and everything that she wants to hear. And
of course, the right thing to say is, no, not at all.
Of course not. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that it kind of just, it's a little moment. She is way too hard on herself, though, for sure. Because I think she's doing a better job, than anyone could. And she's doing a job that she didn't have to do.
Yes.
She didn't have to, take in these children and decide that she was going to be their surrogate, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to say mother, but she did it anyway. And that right there is enough to be proud of, I think.
I do think it means a lot, though, having people, you're supposed to do the right thing. And you learn as you get older that you have to do the right thing without anybody patting you on the back. Unfortunately, that's just life. you know. But man, it means a lot to have someone say, you're doing great. You're doing an amazing job, you know. And you forget how much you need to hear it. You know?
And she did need to hear that.
She did, absolutely.
But it's interesting. I thought it was interesting that when Bray told her she was doing a great job, she's hesitant to believe him. But when Sasha tells her she's doing a great job, she beams like this great big smile.
It's because of the feelings she has for Sasha. You know, I don't know if Amber necessarily has the same type of feelings for Bray. There was certainly that attraction, you know what I mean? But Sasha came in and swept her off her feet. Like, literally swept her off her feet. Like, I don't think she's given Bray a second look, you know?
I think it has a lot to do with respect. I mean, Sasha has been, you know, happy, someone who's looked up to her from moment one, whereas Bray has done so many things that Amber cannot justify.
Yeah, that she deems...
His opinion is not as valuable as Sasha's is. In her eyes.
I don't know, but she doesn't know Sasha. How can she respect him if she doesn't know him?
I don't think Amber particularly respects Sasha.
I just really think, you know, she has this major crush on him and she's very much enjoying the attention, you know? So, of course, what he says is going to hold merit over Bray. You know, yeah, maybe there was that attraction. Maybe she thought, but he never made a move. He never made it clear to her that he was interested. You know what I mean? He just kissed other girls. Like, whereas Sasha from get-go was, hey, I want to make you happy. Let me make you happy. You know?
I think it comes down to the difference between infatuation and love and easy and complicated. When we're young, especially when we're young, I think all of us can agree we've had infatuations with people, and it was very easy. It was super easy to like them and fall for them and be with them and just enjoy ourselves with them. And we didn't think too much about them as people. We might not have known much about them, but we just had a great time being with them. And, and then there are other people in our lives where, for some reason, the love came so hard, so complicated, so fraught with deeper, complex emotions. And so I agree with Maggie in the sense that how can she respect Sasha when she doesn't really know him? I think the feelings she has for Sasha are very uncomplicated. She doesn't know that much about him. And there's nothing to color or muddy the water for her.
Nope, it's just fun.
It just feels good. It's uncomplicated and feels good being with this guy. He's done nothing to make her feel otherwise, you know? He's just been nothing but freaking sunshine and rainbows from the moment he came into her life. That just feels nice. But it's not.
And that's something that hasn't been around for a while.
And I think her feelings for Bray are much more deep and complicated.
Yes.
It's not, I don't think they're shallow. I don't think they're not as deep. I don't think like when compared to Sasha that, oh, she just didn't care about Bray. I just feel like it's the complexity of actually knowing somebody and knowing all their shades and having to reconcile things about this person that you may not like or approve of despite your deep feeling for them.
Which plays into what Sabine said. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have family and we have friends. We may have friends that it's not even that deep, but we just love being with them, you know, and we have family who puts us through hell, but we cannot cut them from our lives.
Yep.
It's a deep, complex love for this person. And so that might be the difference between Bray and Sasha. Like, neither is better than the other, but they both have their positives and their negatives, you know. Would Amber be able to sustain feeling for Sasha if he stuck around? Eventually he's going to do stuff to make her question him. You know, eventually come to conflict, but right now they're basically Rose and Jack on the Titanic. They have nothing but adoration
until the iceberg hits.
You know? It's like, because they don't know each other that much. They see what they like and that's all they've got and they're happy with that, and they don't stay together long enough to discover anything they don't like about each other. They're a summer camp romance.
That's what it is right there. I was thinking that last time.
Again, it's still just as valid in your life. You absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but that's what it is.
It's a different kind of romance.
Embrace the guy at home that, you know, you go back to and okay, real life.
You spray paint a wall with Sasha, but you put a puzzle together with Bray. One requires just spontaneity and fun. Another requires a lot of communication and cooperation and patience.
Yes, you absolutely.
So much patience is needed.
My poor Bray.
It's no wonder he and Trudy wouldn't have worked out, you know?
Yeah, they needed a lot of time, a lot of growing.
Blasphemy.
I know, blasphemy. But at this point in their life...
No, right now, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. You're right. My poor Bray, you guys.
Sorry.
I'm being nice to him. I'm being very fair. I
know you are. You're being very fair. Apparently, Sabine just doesn't like him today.
You didn't know? Oh my gosh, she's his biggest critic. She's horrible to him.
Quick, hide! Who is it? Demon dogs. Don't do that.
Okay, let's talk about that Ryan scene. So Ryan wakes up outside the mall and he's discovered by a couple of city kids who try to befriend him. But he kind of coyly tells them that he's not part of a tribe and he hides when Amber and Sasha pass by. Panel, what did you think of that scene and Ryan?
I think it made perfect sense for Ryan to get out of the mall as fast as he can. He was staying there at first because he saw Alexis, his best friend, Sandra as the girl he loved. Well, in recent episodes, he's learned that Lex has been making fun of him.
Yep.
Because of everything with the money, and the girl he loved has just married the biggest jackass in his life.
Yeah, and I think he stuck around the mall, to protect Zandra, but now he doesn't need to anymore.
Well, she married Lex, and she's off the market.
Yep. I was very saddened by that scene, actually. Yeah. Because Ryan deserves better. He deserves to be at the mall, whereas I don't think Lex does.
It does say something about Ryan, though, that he's capable of being very decisive.
Yes.
I mean, up until this point, you don't really see a lot from Ryan that makes you think that, he makes decisions for himself.
He just let Lex make all the decisions,
right.
You know?
So for Ryan to be to stick to his guns, to get Lex to that altar, to get Zandra the wedding she wants, and then as soon as it was over, he just bailed. He doesn't say anything to anyone. He makes the conviction, I can't be there with them anymore. Yeah. This is a lot about who he is at his core, fundamentally.
Yeah. But also, he can't bear to watch that.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to see what will happen there, how unhappy she will eventually be, or how happy she will be.
It's a double-edged sword, just like you said. You don't want to see how miserable the person you love is going to be in this ill-fitted match, and you don't want to see their elation at it either.
No, you absolutely don't want to see them be happy. I think you don't want to see them be happy more than you don't want to see them be sad.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he decides to just remove himself from the situation rather than sit around pouting about it, he's proactive. I
think that shows he's a lot more mature than people give him credit for.
Yes, but I agree. It's heartbreaking to watch that. This is how much pain Ryan is in, that he had to remove himself from the mall,
because you know why he did it, and it's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't even take much with him.
No,
he doesn't say goodbye to anyone. He doesn't tell anyone where he's going, and it's very sad.
And he obviously left during the party since he's sleeping there.
Yeah.
He had one last hurrah and then was gone.
But he did, he kept his word.
Yep.
Like you said. And then he was like, okay, I'm gone. I'm out of here,
Not around for the wedding night.
Nope. And I don't blame him from hiding from Amber and Sasha,
It just reiterates that he's not planning on going back to the mall at this point.
No, because he knows if he sees Amber's going to be like, what are you doing? And then she would take him back to the mall.
Or talk him back into going.
Exactly.
He wouldn't be able to resist if, Amber was just like, hey, are you coming home or what? He wouldn't be able to say no to her.
I saw that scene a bit differently. I thought he was trying to protect them by not getting the other two to see who they were. I saw that differently.
when I saw it the first time, that's what I felt.
I didn't think he was trying to protect Amber and Sasha because I don't think he saw the two guys he was with as a threat to Amber and Sasha. Now, when we're first introduced to them, they approach his sleeping form with bricks, and you think, oh my gosh, they might be dangerous. But then when he wakes up and they realize he's friendly, they do not attack him at all, even though they still have the advantage. And you realize, oh, they weren't trying to attack him, they were protecting themselves from him. But as soon as he shows himself to be friendly, they're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So I don't think Ryan felt he wouldn't have had to protect Amber and Sasha from these two guys, because I think he's already got a readout. They wouldn't attack them at all. You know what I mean? Because notice the way the guys react when he says it was locos, and they were like, oh, thank God we had you, mate, looking out for us. They're just like Ryan. They're not aggressive. They're not looking for trouble. They don't have a tribe. You can see they're kind of grubby. They don't have any supplies on them. You know, they're just strays trying to get by. So I thought it had way more to do with Ryan not wanting to be taken back to the mall.
Oh, I didn't see that. No, I thought the way he was looking between the two, and they still had bricks in their hands, I think he was just trying to get the distance between them.
Because Ryan could have easily just told them, don't worry, they're not dangerous. And I think those kids...
And they would have believed him.
Okay. You're cool, mate. I mean, what are they doing with their spare time? They're breaking bottles, chilling with him, talking about starting a group together. Like, these are just some lonely kids who don't have anybody. They're not troublemakers.
But I mean, they instantly ask him, you with a tribe? No? You want to start one?
Ryan's like, I've had enough of that, looking out for other people. And that's the way he says that, like, you can feel the bitterness. Like,
I know. And I really feel that scene with the money and Lex was really the starting point for Ryan really seeing Lex for who and what he is.
Because we talked about the fact that Ryan isn't with Lex because Lex does anything for him, protects him, looks out for him. Ryan chose to look after Lex.
Yes.
For whatever
reason, sense of loyalty, chose to be loyal to him.
And this is what he got out of being loyal to Lex. And this is the bitterness he feels from. This is what happens when you look out for other people. This is how they treat you. He looked out for Zandra, and she used him because all she wanted was Lex. And just, you realize the bitterness that Ryan is feeling, the hurt and the betrayal, and just like, I don't want any part of looking out for other people. Not to mention, the last move he made to look out after someone was to try and buy them from slavery, only to discover his money was worthless.
Yep.
Ooh, it's been a bad week for Ryan.
Poor Ryan.
I don't want to care about anybody. It sucks.
Yeah.
Had enough of that looking out for other people.
Same,
dude.
It's
a sense of they don't look out for you,
Right.
That's what Ryan's learned. They don't look out for you. You get the short end of that stick. Oh, my poor Ryan, sweetheart. I hate the idea of Ryan on his own. I don't know why it bothers me so much. I don't like it. Like this first time, and then again when it happens in season 2, I'm like, somebody stop him! Get him back to the mall! This just doesn't feel right. Ryan should not be on his own. And I don't even like whoobies, but I love Ryan.
He's a big old teddy bear.
He's the deservable whoopee, I guess. Like, he deserves all the wub in the world. I guess. I hate to see him alone, isolated, and hurt. I'm like, somebody fix this.
I don't blame Ryan for not wanting to be in the mall.
Me neither. I wouldn't want to.
I mean, come on. Lex knows how much Ryan loved Sandra.
Of course he did.
And then to shout out at him throughout the mall.
But that just goes to show you how very little Lex cares about anyone but himself.
Yeah. I mean, but come on, trying to get the guy to make you breakfast in bed for your honeymoon.
You gotta admit, though, the look on Lex's face when he realizes he's defeated, priceless.
Oh, yeah, that look on his face when he realizes Ryan isn't coming.
Yep, priceless. Absolutely.
There's a lot of denial. Like, he doesn't want to accept that his right hand man isn't rushing to his side to help him with something, and that is it possible that I actually pushed him away? Like, I've actually lost him? No, I don't want to admit that. So I'm gonna count to 10, even though I know it's pointless by the time I got to 6, that he's not coming. He is not here, not answering me. It's interesting seeing that look on Lex's face. And he can't let it go. He keeps counting.
I loved it.
Who you pulling, He ain't coming.
Lex doesn't handle, rejection well.
And it was so deserved.
It was delicious. I loved it.
No, I'm warning you. All these things, all these old tricks.
And it's like the nerve, man.
He's not even there to hear you, Lex.
Nope.
That's how much he's abandoned you. He's not even in the vicinity. You're just shouting out into the void. You small little man.
To the emptiness, and it shows just how alone Lex actually is.
There's also such a pettiness to his behavior because it's like, you won the girl that you knew your best friend was in love with. Do you really need to rub that in his face?
Yeah, he knew he hurted him. He hurt him, he didn't care.
Even now, he's still, like, asserting that dominance. Like, not only did I get the girl, but I'm going to make you cook for me and the girl. Like, geez, Lex. Like, wow. Your inability to care about anybody is impressive. That's amazing that you can care this little about anyone else but yourself.
It's not surprising, though. It's really not.
In fact, that's what I felt like watching the episode. I'm like, I don't really have much to say about this behavior. It's so on brand.
Absolutely. It is so Lex. Unbelievable. It's just the audacity,
As for Han Zandra, I'm glad that Zandra's wedding night went well. I'm happy for her sake because of how much value she placed on her virginity and her first time. So I am pleased that she had a lovely time. That makes me happy.
Yes. She seemed very happy the next day.
And giddy,
What a lucky girl.
This has one of those cringy moments where I'm so embarrassed.
I know. I was watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, she's not an innocent anymore. I didn't know how to feel.
Oh.
So yeah, the whole happy post-coitus. I'm like, I'm glad it went well for you two. At least for Zandra's sake, I'm pleased it went okay. It's a little cringy, just because I don't know. Even when I'm having those morning after giddy like banter back and forth, even then I'm like, oh, we're so cringe.
Absolutely, me too. Same. Today, I did. Sorry. Oh man, I was like, oh Zandra, that poor girl, because she doesn't really know what's in store for her.
And there's just that sense like Lex is like, I want my wife cooking on the day after we've gotten married. And you can see this look on Zandra's face, like, wow, things are going to be different now.
I know.
And I want to say, no, sweetie, it's because he's getting laid. That's the
difference. That's the only difference.
That's what always puts Lex in a good mood, sweetheart.
Oh, man.
But, I don't have much on it. I'm glad that it wasn't horrible for Zandra. I'm glad she got what she wanted. I'm glad her fantasy has not been demolished yet.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all I got.
Is it just when you move, or is there an ache all the time?
All the time, and then when I move, wham!
Try to accommodate your pain, Jack. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Slowly. Good. Remember, it is your pain. You are in charge. Don't let it take over. There. Is that a little better?
No.
Just as I suspected, the leg is broken. We'll need to construct a splint of some kind. But first, comfrey.
What?
Neck bone.
It's an old herbal remedy used for helping broken bones to heal.
You're not gonna put that on my leg, I mean, what's in it?
Comfrey leaves, of course.
Yeah, something I was just thinking about earlier. Like, what do you think of Tai San introducing natural healing into the lives of the Morats? Did it surprise you that Dal hadn't worked out that Jack's legs was broken?
I don't think it was.
I mean, it surprised me that he didn't know to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, his father was a doctor, right?
Yeah, and basic first aid.
You immobilize the leg, and he didn't do that.
Everything about that scene is weird to me. I actually kind of hate the storyline because the way people are behaving seems so off-brand for them. Like you said, Dal should at least have some idea what to do with any kind of injury.
Yes, for sure.
EMT care. He would know what to do. But they act as though the only thing Dal has to offer is knowing how often to give painkillers. You know what I mean? And I'm like, Dal would have more knowledge than that.
For sure.
I don't think Jack's leg is broken. And this would not be the first time that Tyson has misdiagnosed a person. And
True.
I don't think it's broken at all, because I think the worst, he probably has a really bad sprain or a torn ligament. But the fact that Jack is on his feet and within a week's time, just count the days, he'll be walking around. That is not a break. It's not even a fracture.
I walked on a broken ankle immediately after breaking it.
I don't know. I just don't.
But no, I mean, yeah, the way that she did it, like, she was just like, it's broken. I'm like, okay, Miss X-ray vision. Like,
Still, it wouldn't have made a difference because uses comfrey for him, which is something they also use for sprains and other things, like basically anything you can injure in a leg when it's not bone sticking out. So it's not like she could have done anything particularly wrong with that.
I just thought that it was crazy, like when she said put it in a splint, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me that that's not something that Dal should have known?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's just, I don't like the scene. It rubs me the wrong way. I don't know.
I mean, I enjoyed Casey throwing up in her purse or in her bag.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that.
Just keep it, kid. I am not cleaning that stuff up. It's all yours.
But I do like that they actually bring in her knowledge of herbal remedies.
Yeah.
With medication gone, that's all that they're going to have.
I think it could have been written better, though.
Yeah.
I don't like the way, I understand, like, I think it's great to, bring in the natural healing where the medicinal intervention isn't really doing the trick. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the way they wrote it in. It just feels clunky. And again, just like you guys said, it makes no sense that Dal isn't thinking more along his own training of what to do in this situation. And I don't like the scene.
He knew to go get antibiotics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To save Trudy's life, but he couldn't know to
he was able to recognize
a leg injury. Come on.
Everything about it feels wrong to me. I don't care for it. Not to mention, you couldn't paint a bruise on this kid's leg to convince me that something's going on.
It was a little red. It was a little red.
I'm like, you want me to think his leg is broken? I need to see some bruising
when
and some
I broke
swelling.
my ankle, it was purple and looked like there was a softball off the side of it.
Yeah,
so,
come on.
Yeah.
You're not convincing me of it.
All that face paint, yeah, and they couldn't put some bruises on him.
Maybe I'm just being petty. I just never liked the scene.
It's okay.
It is strange, and especially since Jack's injury happened when Amber was still in the mall, she would have also known at least a basic knowledge of first aid,
But she wasn't, okay, she might have been in the mall, but she wasn't in the mall.
Yeah, but when Jack injured himself was during the Bachelor's.
Yeah, no, I know, but what I mean that is that she was preoccupied.
Yeah,
she had other things on her mind, but if she would have gotten involved, then yeah, she would have known.
That's why Dallin broke her name. He's like, if Amber were here, she would agree with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't care for the scene, but I get the point of it.
Yeah, because Amber was upstairs. She was upstairs, wasn't she? With
when he hurt himself, yeah.
Yeah, and then they all went downstairs, and Zandra did her Zandra scream, and
yeah, and Amber went looking at what happened,
But again, she didn't get involved in his care. She just said, "Okay, it's time for us all to go to bed." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just need to get Jack in bed and get his leg up. She didn't come check on him the next day.
She did know to get it, elevated at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not Amber's forte. So I mean, that's not her area of expertise. She would definitely have said, "Dal, what do you think?" And
for sure, yeah.
But I think the point of the scene works, at least, because it does feel like a bunch of clucking chickens, who don't know what the frick they're talking about, trying to decide what to do with someone's injured leg. It does have that.
Yeah.
They're all in there. No one knows what they're doing. And the one person who should be an expert on this, no one's actually listening to him. And I do think it at least brings about that chaos. Like if Amber had come in the room, she would have brought order to it immediately. And but she's not there, and so this is what we got. Bray's useless at this, and apparently Dal doesn't know what to do. And here's Tyson going, "It's broken." Like, I don't believe you.
Let me just do a little touchy touch. Okay. Does this feel better? It's broken. Like, what? No.
Like, that leg looks so good for a fracture. I'll tell you that, girl.
Oh man! Until she put that whatever on it.
Comfy.
Then I was like, well, just now cut it off. Come on.
Yeah, it healed the break.
Magic. It's healing the bones from the outside in.
Get out of here, Tyson.
But it is actually something that they used for that.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It's just the way the Tyson is.
I don't like the way it's written. I hate it.
Just like, it's magic. She should have just snapped her fingers. Would have been more believable.
Hey, she did the same thing with Chloe's ankle back then.
See, snap, exactly. There we go.
But at least with Chloe's ankle, she just recognized it's a sprain. We just have to wrap it. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like this was over dramatic. I don't think his leg is broken at all. You're not convincing me. I don't know what is wrong with this scene. I don't like it, and I'm being really petty about it, apparently.
It's okay.
What do you think of Patsy continuing her evil streak on a drunken KC?
Oh gosh, Patsy, what a little brat. She's just a little brat. And yeah, it might be a little funny, but I just think that she can be so mean.
Yeah. For
the sake of just being mean,
She does have a little nasty streak in her, absolutely.
Yeah, it was absolutely Casey's fault, but she didn't have to. She knew what she was doing. Come on.
Yeah, but she also knows that with Casey, she can get away with saying such things. I mean, she would have never said something like that to someone like Ryan or Lex,
She might have. With the way that her and Paul used to mouth off to Lex, she might have. I don't know. She's one of those characters for me where I'm like, okay, you need to try to like her. She's a child.
Patsy does strike me as she's a typical 9-year-old. It's not an easy age, especially for girls.
I know. I have a just turned 10-year-old.
There's a sassiness that's coming into you. And of course, society tells you as a female, you're not allowed to be sassy. You're not allowed to be assertive. If you're a girl, that's bossy. And when I look at Patsy, I do see a very typical girl of her age. Mm-hmm. She's trying to emulate her the elders, by being assertive and knowing what she's talking about. But it always, at that age, just sounds annoying as heck to hear a 9-year-old talk to you like they know what they're talking about. So she has that going for her. And it also, she dithers between acting very innocent and not knowing what she's talking about to appease the people who are around her, who are older than her, and seem innocent and likable to them. But then her true colors come out when she's around her own peers. And you see, oh, you're a nasty little thing. Like, I could totally see Patsy being a mean girl on the playground.
Yeah.
I could see her swinging back and forth and being really sweet with her teachers, but then being really nasty to a classmate when there's nobody around. I'm not saying that Patsy's a terrible person, but I can see that typical behavior in her at that age. And I'm like, yeah, that seems pretty on par. I actually made a joke that every 9-year-old girl sucks.
Maybe that's why I'm so hard on Patsy, because I'm like, Cadence is the same way. That child is oh man, she's so mean and nasty sometimes. And I'm like, I can't relate with you, Patsy. I'm sorry. I just want to smack you in the mouth.
I wanted to suck when I hit 9.
You would never do.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's one of those things, Yeah.
When my niece turned 9 and she just started to suck. And I was like, she goes, Auntie, Daddy said I'm being really annoying. Do you think I'm annoying? I'm like, yes, you are, sweetie, but it's not your fault. You're 9. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, every 9-year-old girl just gets a lot of suckage. It's not your fault.
A lot of it. It's horrible. I don't think it ever goes away.
You're trying to bridge between being a child and listening to other people and figuring things out for yourself and trying to assert this knowledge that you're gaining for yourself. But you're 9, so you sound like an idiot and really condescending and annoying and just like, shut up, kid. You don't know what you're talking about.
I love my kids, but you're right. 9, suckage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because it's not like she's doing it on purpose. This is a natural progression of trying to become older.
I think for me, it's like sometimes the way that she treats Chloe really just rubs me the wrong way.
It's like she's mimicking part of Trudy's behavior.
She's mimicking a lot of people's behavior. That's the thing about that age, or trying to be like the older kids. You know, you're trying to copy them and how they.
And what role models does we have in the mall for that?
And you're emulating who you want to be like too. That's when you're really figuring out for yourself who you want to be like. You know, and that's what you follow, and that's what you try to imitate and stuff. And yeah, it just comes off as irritating because you're 9. You don't know what you're doing or what you're saying. And yeah, so I just seemed I wasn't surprised at Patsy's behavior or the way she treats Casey. She's been doing it from the moment Casey came in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he made snap judgments about him and treated him accordingly to those. And even though Casey's been nothing but nice to the girls, she still doesn't have a problem being nasty to him, you know. Says a lot about her upbringing, especially compared to Chloe's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It brings me back to a conversation the kids had episodes ago. They're playing a game, and Chloe says, they talk about, I love the Freedom Troopers, blah, blah, blah. And Chloe was like, we had this game at home, you know what I mean? And Patsy's like, well, we had the movie. So already there's this one-upmanship. Mm-hmm. And then Patsy says, I miss our house. We had a nice house. But what does Chloe say? I miss my parents. I miss my mom and dad. She doesn't miss stuff, but Patsy misses stuff. You know what I mean? It says a lot about where Patsy came from. You know, I definitely think she had a much more privileged upbringing.
Yeah, but did she? I mean, with her having Paul as her brother, I can imagine a lot of attention within the family was always focused on Paul and helping Paul deal with things and just buying her off.
Right, but that would explain why she associates nice things.
Yeah, you know what I mean? About, like, stuff.
Yeah, stuff. Having stuff being such an important thing.
Yeah,
materialistic upbringing.
Yes.
She doesn't say, I miss my mother, I miss my father.
No, she misses her house.
She had a great house, you know. And Chloe, who's much more empathetic to others and can read the room and seems to care, she misses her mom and dad.
And that's why it makes me so sad that Chloe puts up with Patsy being mean to her, you know, for as long as she has.
I think it's mainly because she's the only other girl her age.
Oh, yeah, I know that, you know, that's the reason, but it just makes me sad.
Mm.
Patsy plays her part. She brings something to the friendship, you know. She may be a mean girl in the budding, but she's still also a sweet child, and she's charming. And
she has her moments.
Sure. I completely understand how that friendship can form and what she brings to the friendship with Chloe. Patsy's the more chipper one. She can be, you know, the more hyperactive, playful, silly one. And I think that's important for Chloe to have in her life. Mm-hmm. And she accepts Chloe for who she is. That is something also very important.
Yeah, but she's still mean to her sometimes when it's unnecessary. And I think
we all had a friend.
Yeah, I did, and I had a friend just like that.
The mean one in the group. Either we were the mean one or they were the mean one.
They were, yeah. I been there.
It doesn't take
I know
to be friends as a child. You know, you expect a lot. They're your friend. That's it. You're the same age. You're the same size, and so you're friends. I had a couple mean girls as friends. Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That's childhood friendship.
But she's not always mean, though.
No, she's not always mean. I don't even think Patsy's particularly in general. I wouldn't use mean to describe Patsy.
No, that's why I said she's a little bit of a brat, you know?
She can be a mean girl. She's got the potential to be a mean girl.
Because when it comes down to it, when she finds Chloe crying, she's the one who goes to her with a, don't cry, there'll be somewhere else for us, you'll see.
Yeah, so she's bringing her part to that friendship. Chloe, though, that is also interesting. Chloe is waiting for the bottom to fall out, where Patsy's like, it's all going to be okay. Because for Patsy's world, it all was, you know.
Yes.
And even when her parents died, guess who swooped in? Celine. You know, I have the feeling that Chloe was on her own for a while before she found Celine. So even that is the difference between these girls, where Chloe's like, things can fall apart really easily and there will be nobody. And here's Patsy going, no, it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it, honey.
Yeah, someone will have us.
Yeah, someone will take care of us. And Patsy also doesn't notice what's happening in the mall, where Chloe is very aware that something is very wrong today. It feels very wrong. But you need that in your friendships. You need a sunshine to your shadow.
Yeah, I think for these girls, it's just a very strange day for both of them. Not only is Amber not there, but with everything going on with Celine, they've been able to count on her less and less.
Yeah, that's really unsettling for a child.
Speaking of Celine, that brings us to our final thoughts of the episode. So after binging on all the leftovers from the wedding feast, Celine runs out of food and is forced to return to Rowan, who initially turns her away before letting her in, telling her that they can work something out. So with the introduction of Rowan's associates, Dirk and Mitch, and their observation that Celine is desperate, panel, did anyone see where this was going?
Well, it's not going to be good. It's certainly ominous.
With the way they're looking at her.
Exactly. That's the way, the way that Rowan looked at her through that peephole,
That was shocking that they had that.
I know. That alone, and then just the way that she originally looked at her, and then all of a sudden the camera just panned slightly, just a little bit, and I was like, oh boy.
What I found interesting about Rowan was, I don't think from the moment she met Celine, that she had this plan for Celine. I don't think that. I don't think it crossed her mind to use Celine that way. I think it's not until she realized just what a pickle Celine was in, how desperate she was for food, and she's looking at her going, wait a second, I think we could use you. And then when she's talking to her comrade, for me, that was the most disturbing part, is when she's like, what do you think? And he's like, I think she'll do for us. And that's like, oh my gosh, they've had this conversation. This is something they've been discussing for a while, of what they can do to branch out and how to make more business and how to basically get a greater income. That this is not the first time they've considered this thing. And it just happened that Celine stepped into it. That gave me the chills. Like, whoo. For anyone to have that conversation, what we need.
It shows how dark things can really get.
I'm actually not sure if Celine was the first person they did this to.
Well, I don't know if they've had the chance to do it to anybody yet. That's the thing.
If they did before, it just reiterates that she didn't plan to do that with Celine from the beginning, and then she realized, okay, she's super desperate. It just, I guess it shows, how really, I guess Celine has that innocence about her, Yeah. She knows it's dangerous out there, but she doesn't know exactly what people are capable of.
I just love the callback to how desperate women have been taken advantage of throughout history.
Yeah.
For whatever reason it is, they absolutely need something, and this is how they can be used because of it.
Yep.
Whether they're a young woman who's pregnant out of wedlock or has been abandoned by her husband and she's got children to take care of or whatever, women historically have been the most vulnerable to this sort of thing. And I liked how they updated it. It's the same kind of awful world. We have a child with bulimia and she absolutely needs food. And so she falls into the same trap of being taken advantage of this way, that desperation. And I was like, wow, nicely done there.
I'm still surprised they got it past the censors.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes. Well done. Very tasteful, very careful. Very careful. Thought it was great, though.
I mean, the slaves were one thing, but this is an entirely different realm.
Yeah, but in a society that has gone to shreds as much as this one has, it makes sense they go back to one of the oldest professions for women.
Oh, yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. It's just in this show, you know what I mean? For it to go there, and that's what, it shows how dark things can get.
I don't think I knew at the time what they had planned for her.
Me neither.
I didn't know specifically, but obviously I knew it wasn't going to be good. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
I saw it. I figured they had opened the slavery can of worms.
Yep.
And so I figured she'd find herself in the same sort of situation, like an indentured servant to these people and not capable of getting away from them. I just knew, I was like, Celine's going to be trapped. I don't know what
She's
they're
gonna
going to
run
do with
herself
her,
into debt. Yeah.
and they're not going to let her go. She's not going to be able to get out of this situation with these people. I was actually happily surprised as to where it went. I was like, that's awesome.
That's new. What a twist.
We haven't seen this on children's TV before.
Exactly.
I will say there is something slightly disappointing about meeting Dirk. You have Rowan, who's on her own, taking care of things, handling
And
business,
then you realize,
and then you realize there's a guy right behind her. You know what I mean? And it definitely has that sense of she's the brothel, like she runs the brothel, but he's the owner, and he's the one who decides how the women should be treated, and on and on. And it had that feeling to it, and I was like, oh, that's it's almost like the theme of predation. She's preying on Celine, but that's to protect herself from being preyed on by other guys like Dirk, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's very realistic, because what are the odds that, you know, someone singular like Rowan could hold on to a food store like this on her own?
Yeah, no way.
Nice touch of the Old West saloon to it, though. It really did have that feeling of an old-timey brothel. Young, innocent girl gets dragged in there, and she's nowhere to go, no money, nothing. And it's like, oh, don't worry, sweetie, we'll take care of you. We can give you something to do. We can help earn a wage. You're innocently like, oh, I'll help Lucius. Very ominous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that brings episode to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and we'll see you for episode 35. Till then, bye.
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 Bye.